Welcome to Spitball Experts Podcast. My name is Dirk and I'm co-host with Arnold, and we spitball on everything concerning life, religion, culture, and sometimes politics. In the next 15 minutes, we will do exactly just that, spitballing on all these topics and hopefully come to some great revelation. So we thank you for joining us and we hope you enjoy today's spitballing with us.
Okay, and start. Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. Okay, so today we are carrying on with the conversation all about what is going on in life and in our cultures and just everything else. And today I am excited to talk about this idea surrounding one of the most controversial topics currently in the world, and something we are all faced with. And I mean, this topic has ranged from passports to the end times to infertility to not being allowed into a country or not in a sports stadium. But anyway, so
I'm so excited. I'm so glad you are excited about this topic.
I am excited because I love the controversy behind it. But
That's good.
so yeah, I mean, today we're just going to be talking about this idea surrounding the COVID-19 vaccine and all about it. Now, just quickly a disclaimer on what we're going to be talking about, okay? We are not giving you facts, okay? This is not a fact saying you must do it or you mustn't do it. This is not a conspiracy theory that we are going to be throwing out here, okay? We just want to talk about the idea surrounding the vaccine, right? Am I? Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100% correct. I mean, we are opening ourselves for
Yeah.
probably a world of hurt. But yeah, you're right. We are not a channel podcast that
Yeah.
talks about, that's going to give you statistics and what the CDC or whatever,
Yeah.
whoever, I mean, CDC, that's American, right? Exactly. We're not informed about the statistics
Yeah.
about it. We are just two theologians
Speaking.
speaking.
Yeah.
We want to talk about the philosophical part
Exactly.
of the vaccine.
Yes. So, Dirk, what exactly within the vaccine do you think is, I want to say, let's play devil's advocate. What is the controversial side to it? Or rather the philosophical side to it. What would you say is that behind the vaccine? What do you think about it?
I do think, look, I think the whole controversy is that people feel, especially in the West, we can only speak of the West, and South Africa, I think, fits into the West, that our freedoms are being encroached upon by the vaccine. That's saying if you have the vaccine, you can go into a restaurant, whatever.
You
I
can
know
live
in
life
Switzerland,
normally, basically.
the new normal, that would
Yeah.
be it, right? So we came from a place where vaccines were something you gave kids,
Yeah.
not something that, except maybe the flu vaccine, that is something
Yeah.
that we do get as adults, and maybe the refreshing of vaccines like yellow fever,
Exactly.
stuff like that. So philosophically, we have this vaccine kind of encroaching on people's rights,
Yeah.
or freedoms, and that's kind of where we see the whole problem, I guess, for a lot of people, saying, well, if I need the vaccine to go and sit in a restaurant, it doesn't make sense to me. Can the government, I guess the question is, can the government force me to take something that I do not per se want to take? Because the media are saying this is a new vaccine. The people with the white coats and the glasses and very smart people say, no, we've been going on at this whole new type of vaccine for like the last 15 years, so it's not new. So you have this bombardment of information,
Yeah.
and then you have the government saying, well, we need to get out of this pandemic, so let's get the vaccine going. Man, that's a lot of information to process, and I guess that is for me where the problem comes in is where can the government or the problem? I guess when I listen to anti-vaxxers, let's put that in inverted commas because they are not all crazy.
Exactly.
Um, and that's the philosophical point for me is why
Mm,
can we not listen to counterpoints?
yeah.
Um,
I,
why can we not get into counterpoints, listen to what they are saying, and go, well, let's have a discourse about it. That's the philosophical debate for me around it today.
Yeah, I think something that you're touching on is extremely important because there are obviously always two sides to a coin. And when you look at this concept behind the vaccine, I mean, I was faced with this whole thing, especially from someone close to me, about all the questions that they have surrounding the vaccine and so little answers that they're getting. Because we're getting so much information about what's going on in the world, like you already said, so much information about the development, about all the variants, about this and about that, and you need this and you need that, and you need the shots, and you need to make sure you choose the right one, and it's either Pfizer or Moderna or Johnson and Johnson, but then you hear people say Johnson and Johnson does this and Pfizer does that, and
I
after a
always
while it's
thought
just
Johnson and Johnson made baby powder.
exactly. But it's like after a while, I just want to go sit in a hole somewhere in the middle of the Kalahari here in South Africa, and just like I'm a hermit now, and there's so many issues surrounding this. Yeah, there's so many issues surrounding this because there's so much information. How do we know what the truth is around this? And I think when we look at this philosophically, we need to ask ourselves, okay, but once again, it brings up something in our culture as to, okay, but who are you listening to? Are you listening to every single news broadcast network out there? Or rather, are you sifting through and actually trusting your own guts in this? And because at the end of the day, the vaccine is here for a reason. And like you said already, whether it's been developed for 20 years already, or whether it's been developed or finalized in the last 2 years, that is irrelevant to me. To me, it is more a thing of, okay, but who am I listening to before I make a decision about it? And what will the impact be on that?
Yeah, and I mean, people, we all let's step away from the government again because it's always easier to say them and they and
It's
those
always the
people,
government's fault.
and
Always.
and let's take a step back.
Yeah.
And I guess this is the question for me. First of all, vaccinate people, get off your high horse. That is the whole thing. Just say that out there.
Yeah.
Just don't think it helps to scream at people just as much as I think that vaccinate the anti-vaxxers get off their high horses. Don't scream at people.
Yeah.
Generally, that's never a good idea.
Yeah.
But the discourse lies for me in between. Like, I am responsible for my community. Each individual they are responsible for their communities, and I guess that's the question for me is what does that mean for us in this getting out of the pandemic? What would that mean for us to take up responsibility as an individual? Now, is the vaccine the answer? I don't think so. I think it's one part of a bigger solution. So I think we need to treat it that way. That's truly what I think. But I do think that we need to find other solutions. Is there treatments out there that can help it that people that don't want to get vaccinated can get treated in that sense, which is a fair and honorable thing to do. Yeah, so that for me is the place. Like, what does self-responsibility mean? And taking response. So as a Christian, and this is what this podcast is about, is we are Christians talking through the lens of as Christians, and that's my question. When Jesus says, love your neighbor as yourself, what does that mean for me as a person? Not for the church, not for the them and theys, but for me as Dirk, as an individual moving around, as an individual in this world. What does that mean for me? How do I take care of my community? How can I serve them properly in this pandemic? And that's for me the question that is crucial. That the solidarity we showed in the first lockdowns across the world was beautiful. But that's the thing. I think loving your neighbor takes a long time, and it's something that needs to stay constant. And I think that's where we dubbed and we saw, whoa, loving my neighbor is a really tough thing. Solidarity is a pretty tough thing. Um,
Yeah.
so that's the thing for me, and I think that is I get both sides of the argument.
Yeah.
But I guess the question is always, what is my role? What
Yeah.
is my responsibility? And how do I effectively serve my communities? And how do I filter, like you asked, I think your point was brilliant,
Yeah.
is how do I filter through information? Where do I get my information from? I
Yeah.
think that is so crucial in this time. And
Yeah.
let's be honest, the media is not helping.
I think something that we need to realize, especially from maybe more of a philosophical view, is we need to we need to recognize there is one common factor driving all of this. Okay, and this one common factor has been there since the beginning of time. And this factor keeps on driving our choices when it comes to the vaccine, our choices when it comes to COVID, our choices, what we need to, or the decisions we make about the way that we love our neighbor. And it drives all of this. And this
Mhm.
this element that drives us or that has an impact is basically fear.
Mhm.
And I mean, the reality of that is people are either afraid of COVID, so they get the vaccine. People are either afraid of the vaccine, so they don't get the vaccine. You
Yeah.
know, people are either afraid of, I want to say, getting spreading the virus to the people around them, so they get the vaccine. You know, and it gets to a point where people get so afraid of what is going on, they get so afraid of what is out there, that people are starting to be driven by fear.
Yeah.
And because of that, we need to realize as well that that is a factor that's busy driving the whole philosophical side of this, by saying that this is, and I mean, this is how it's portrayed in the world, you need the vaccine or else, you know.
So basically, what you're saying is that fear is a major driver of our philosophical, or the way we would portray or enter in this conversation from an idea. When we talk about
Yeah,
philosophy, we're talking about sharing our ideas of this pandemic, of
basically.
the vaccines.
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically,
that's
because
an interesting
isn't
point.
that exactly what happens with anti-vaxxers? From the moment that they have children, they say, no, I'm not going to give my child this vaccine for polio or for whatever it is, due to the fact that I heard this and this and this, and something bad might happen one day with my child. They might get Down syndrome, or they might become autistic, or whatever the case is. And it's something of a fear factor that's driving this. And I think we need to kind of ask ourselves, okay, what is the fear element in this? And why are we allowing this to determine our decisions?
That is absolutely true. And I think you hit the nail on the coffin there. It hit the
On the head.
nail. There we go. Yeah. So I think, and that's where we as Christians, we have a different point of view. We can go to Jesus and say, "This is my fears," and this is, I think, where I want to go. And this is my point. Lastly, on the anti-vaxxers, they are not stupid people.
Yeah,
So do not treat them as stupid people, because
exactly.
some of them have great arguments. But we as Christians, we do not put ourselves or based our arguments on grand philosophies. We
Yeah,
based our arguments on Jesus.
yeah,
It's like Paul wrote in Romans, I think it's Romans 13 or 14, where he says the kingdom of God is not a question of food or drink. So the kingdom of God is not the question of vaccinated, unvaccinated. It's about the love and the cross and the grace and the mercy we received from Jesus on the cross and his resurrection, and that gift we received from God. And I think when we do have fear, and when we honestly sit and I think this is the thing that we as a Christian community have to ask ourselves, what is driving me?
yeah.
Like you stated, what is driving me? Is it fear? Is it truly that the fear of being dying? Is it fear of whatever, not being able to
Yeah,
take part in public life anymore? And I really do want to urge you, before opening your mouth and hurting other people,
Mm.
go to Jesus, move it in prayer. What a great, what a great Pentecostal word, move it in prayer. Go move it in prayer. Bring it to Jesus.
Yeah.
Put your stuff, your mind, have your mind on the things of Christ. That is Paul's message in Philippians, on the things that are above. Move it in prayer and see what God says about it.
Yeah, I
Know
think
what
also maybe just as a final point from my side, I think even if you're listening to this and you are not a Christian, you are whatever religion it might be, ask yourself the same question as to why do you make the choices you make? Why are you in a situation you're in? Is it from a place of fear or a place of love? Because love is universal all throughout the world. I mean, fear is universal all throughout. And I think there's many people out there that don't necessarily follow our beliefs as Christians, but there's still one belief within our context, and that is the context of love, the belief of love, which means I care for the people next to me. So let's make our decisions based on that and not on the fear component. And if you're at a place where you know Christ or you want to know Christ, go to him with it. I mean, scripture also says that, seek me and I will find you. I will answer you. I will come to you. I will be with you. But yeah, that's just a extra side note on that.
But do not let fear compel you.
Yes.
In this arguments, because you are going to hurt people. You are going to hurt people with your words. You're going to lose friends. And the thing that the appeal I want to make is just, is it really worth losing your friends over a stupid vaccination?
Yeah, that's true.
Is it really necessary for us to stop portraying Jesus because of a stupid vaccination and think we are so right about it? When God says that he hates the proud.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. Again, it's a controversial topic. Keep the conversation going. Get enriched by other people. Counterpoints.
Cool. Keep it going, and remember, be able to listen and not just speak, not just retaliate, not just put out your opinion. Let's just keep it going. Let's just keep on talking and not shouting and keep on listening to one another as well. Yeah, that's it.
If you like this episode, give it a share, give it a like on Instagram, and give us a follow on YouTube, and keep the conversation going.